Hello. Alrighty. I'm pretty sure things are working, but let me double check. Volume's good. Alrighty. Let's go double check Twitch. Make sure we're actually streaming. Possibly first 404. I do believe you are first. Which tells me that things are up and running, which is helpful. I have an ad, so I can't even check. But I'm going to assume we're good. Alrighty. Before I give people a minute or two to come in, my camera froze for just a half second. Love that. I am pushing my laptop today. Only like a week maybe until I'm able to put my desktop back together and can actually stream like I would like to. Hello. Oh, we have new people too. I love it. How many of you were here yesterday for my GitHub Basics stream? I'm curious. It's okay if none of you were, I guess. It's fine. No biggie. Wow, this ad's still going. This is terrible. I would hate it. You know this. Don't do this. I tell people that they must sleep. It is important that they take care of themselves. We do not have to be the stereotype. Shame. Hey, there's a couple people. Awesome. Love that. So we're going to do some more again today, but in practice instead, just to really drive the point home today. Like I said yesterday, we are working on a sticker database. If you were here at last Global Hack Week, you know that I was going to do a lot of stuff, or at least I said I was. But we did what we could because that morning my desktop died. So we're trying again with my laptop where things are set up and functional, and we'll see how far we get today, with the intent being that we have 3 parts to do this. And so I also wanted to be mindful that not everyone has done Global Hack Week. Not everyone's been to a hackathon before. Frankly, it's been a really long time since I've been at a hackathon as a participant, just because I've like ascended the ranks, so to speak, of from hacker to organizer to like lead to advisor to coach to a lot of other things like researcher. It was kind of like I want to get back into the mindset of like beginner hacker. Like, what do I do? But also help other people kind of see like what you could do. This is not necessarily the end all be all. You're going to win something, but it is a good foundation, which is to throw shit together and good luck. Hey, so this week is more about like learning and building. And if you do find a hackathon, you'll definitely be able to use all these skills. But this is like a very, very chill hackathon in the sense that it's like just hang out, learn things. So love that you're new here. I welcome you if you haven't already been welcomed, and we should really get started because it's been a couple minutes and I said I would wait a couple minutes. And I don't want it to be just me on screen. We're trying something new on my laptop today where I try not to mess around and find out where everything is miserable. So we will make sure that I have things because I can see all the windows. Alrighty, let's go to our age-old favorite, our to-do list. So let me also add it to the stage because I almost didn't do that. Shame. All right. So last Global Hack Week was more about using cloud services such as Azure or AWS or what's the third one that I'm blanking on? Wow, this is really awkward. Google's like Firebase and a couple other things. There you go. Google Cloud. So what we tried to do was use AWS just because I was like, I've never used AWS. Turns out I already had an account, so I guess I have used it. Go figure. Today / these next 3 workshops will be actually more in Azure because I have credit. I think people should be able to see the text. I zoomed in a bunch, but if you can't see things, if audio decides to die, if something happens, just let me know. If I'm not sharing my screen, please let me know. That is likely to happen at some point because I am moving windows a lot today. I rely on chat. And then for those who have never seen one of my streams before, I also want to make sure that people know that I really acknowledge that like, okay, cool, I'm a PhD student. That means I know I don't know things. And some people are ahead of the game and don't need to get to a PhD to know that they don't know things. But that said, collectively, we have a lot of knowledge that others may not have. And so this is an opportunity to share it. So if there's something I'm doing wrong, if there's something that someone asked that you're like, hey, I know the answer, definitely chime in. I encourage it. We can all learn from it. Chances are I can learn from it. The context being that even though I'm a PhD student, I'm not doing like a coding software PhD. I am doing more of a social sciences PhD despite my background in software engineering, which means that I don't code for a majority of the year. And so I'm very out of date, which we'll go over a little bit later. So I very much welcome people being like, here's these new resources. And I'm like, great, because I'm going to use them too. Cool. So what I did last time for last Global Hack Week was I had already taken pictures, like nice black background and, laid out some of my stickers. I showed them off last time because I have like 2-gallon size bags of stickers because I collect them. Point is, there's lots of stickers. We also talked about cataloging it and what descriptors we might use from like where we got it, when we got it, like when we actually put it in our system, how many we have, because I always collect stickers being like, do I have this? Probably. I don't know. We'll find out. And then I get home and it turns out I have like 20. And I'm like, oh, I could have grabbed others. I could have grabbed more of other stickers. So lots of room for messing up. I mean, more stickers is great, but whatever. And so we talked about integrating with MongoDB. As a, if you have the GitHub Education Pack, you have free access to MongoDB's online stuff, like their tutorials and courses, as well as a single collection, not a collection, I'm sorry, a single like database setup or like cluster, and you get to play with that. And so that's the other reason, is that I'm thinking like as a student hacker, acknowledging that there are some people who don't have access to the Student Education Pack, that you generally have access to a lot of free resources. And hackers at hackathons tend to use these things because free credits goes a long way. And then we talked about features that we might add. And so we'll actually come back to this and use this as part of figuring out what our minimum viable product is. And so this is your buzzword of the day, your MVP, your minimum viable product for a hackathon is, what is the bare minimum you need to get something functional and out the door? And so what is like the singular feature that you can put together? And we'll come back to this for this specific stream because we are approaching it like hackers would, which is, like I said, throwing stuff in and saying, does it work? No. Okay. And going back and forth. So I did some pre-work, making sure I had data, basically. That took about 30 minutes of my life that I didn't want to do on stream. So we have a nice set of data, which is right here, where I only took the first 4 records, but I just generated some stuff. That way I can just plug and play and go. And we don't have to worry about like, here's how you create sample data, because you can figure that out on your own. That's a different hackathon project for you. And then I just made sure that Mongo was set up, Azure was set up, that I have accounts, all this kind of stuff. We will come back to that. I will explain what I did when I come back to that. But first, a history lesson, and then double checking chat. Maybe, as long as you submit your Global Hack Week challenges, maybe. I cannot speak to that personally. Yes, we always get free stuff, so like use it, take advantage. You don't often get this in the classroom. Acknowledging again that like not everybody is in a classroom to get this stuff. And yeah, I suck at it too. Scope creep is terrible. So we're starting out with local dev for this. Anything that is going to be set up, we are doing together. Totally fine if you can't pay attention. I know a lot of people put this on in the background. They'll watch the recording later. You will get a chance to go back through this as well, just like most everybody's streams. Right now, we're really just going to do a quick history lesson about why I chose some of the things that I did for what we're going to do today for our stack. And then we'll actually get into setup. So as you can see on the checklist, we are actually going through this. And that will be most of today, depending on how much time we have, because we have about 2 hours, less than that. I'm trying to finish at the 1.5-hour mark, just so that way we can have a question time. Or if there's anyone who's like stuck on something, we can actually do some debugging. I know I didn't have time for that yesterday with my GitHub stream because we went way over, but that's because I could. So yeah. Cool. Nothing else. Definitely calling out people who watch this in the background. I do have some friends on stream who are probably putting this on the background or seeing if I can teach them anything new, when the reality is that they have jobs and I don't. So I Hopefully they respond with things I should know. All right, so back in my day, please remember I'm a PhD student, which means that when I did my undergrad, it was ages ago. And we talked about MERN. MERN was like the thing. MERN, mean, Mevna, something like that. Oh, my camera froze again. There we go. There are tons of different like full stack frameworks out there. And there we go. Somebody already put it in chat because I'm like, I don't know how to pronounce that. I used MERN a lot, or at least I said I wanted to, and I tried to, and then things got busy and I didn't. So we're coming back to that. Those are still relevant today. They're very popular full stack approaches where you set up your servers, your framework, your UI, and however it is that you're going to do routing. And so I do know that some people have talked about Next.js in their streams, I think in the last 24 hours, because I thought I saw it. And there are lots of different ways that you can go about making a full stack application. Some are more server side, like Next.js. Some are more client UI side, which is React, which is what we're using because I like React. And so funny thing, back in the day when like React came out, React was super popular because it was so much more lightweight than Angular, which had a lot of libraries that automatically were included when you created a new project. Great for when you were doing like giant at-scale projects. And React was hailed as like the new lightweight thing. Then came Vue. And today, as I Googled today, because I was like, let me make sure this is still relevant. Even though I had a plan, I was like, well, let's go make sure before I teach you all the wrong thing. And put myself also in the rigor for being out of date. See, again, PhD student who does not code often. Yeah. So React is still popular, but it's actually recommended that you work with other frameworks because now they are the lightweight ones. Yeah, think about that. The things that you all are using now, like Tailwind and not Swift. There's so many different like frameworks out there. There's a lot. I can only keep up with so many. Yeah. So, end of my back in my day spiel. All that to say, we are doing things as the old ones did because it's still relevant. It is still used in industry today, especially when you want to get a good understanding of full stack. It allows you to break up these concepts. That way you can really dig into them and see which ones you like and then deep dive into whatever you like further from that. So I don't even know what Astro is. So if you want to tell me in chat, I would love that because I will add that to my list to Google, which is again why I'm like, yeah, tell me what I don't know because like, I don't know, and I should know in case it's something I need to keep an eye out for or actually start using instead of my usual favorites like MERN. Yeah, Vue came out when I was an undergrad. Put that to date. Cool. So we did the spiel. We are now going to do some GitHub setup. So if you were in yesterday's workshop, then we're going to repeat some of what we did to set it up. I challenge you to go ahead and get started. If not, you're welcome to fork this project as we work through it. I'll be sharing that link. But before I go any further, let me go and grab today's event link. Oh, I actually don't have it pulled up. Shame on me. Let me open a new tab. Come on. Let me go open that event. I'm going to share that in chat. When I find the right one and not give you the wrong one, because that would be awkward. People won't like that. Come on. Load faster. My laptop is trying so hard. My poor laptop. It is also a back in the day. Alrighty. Thank you, 404. I also was able to get it just in time. That means I can spread it across the multiple platforms that we stream through. Okay. Astro is a framework, lets you bring components and things from JS frameworks built together with sites. Less JS. I will add that to my Google list. I have no choice. My desktop is dead. So, all right. So to GitHub. If you're not already on GitHub, open GitHub. Sign in. Make a new repo. Plus, new repository. Okay, we don't need a template. We're going to give it a name. More like GoFundMe to fix my car. That broke down last week. But that's expensive. Don't worry about it. No GoFundMe is needed. I am paid somewhat appropriately in various instances. Sticker is available, but I don't like that. I like sticker catalog. Could be sticker DB. I feel like that's kind of, I don't know, any titles that would be good for our sticker database / catalog. We would really like this to be something like self-hosted, partially usable, so that way you can be like, let me go access and see what I have. Any ideas from chat on titles before I go forward with sticker DB? Giving it a bit because there is a delay. DB, if I wanted to sound like some hip new technology everyone should learn? I mean, yes, but that is also a bit of a misnomer because it's not actually a database. It could be. It could be. Very... Stick it up. I like that. I like that. Stick DB. Stick bug. Let's name it Sticker DB for now, with the intent of changing it later. Sticker base. Oh my god, no. Sticker base. Sticker base. Adhesive DB. Y'all are good at that. I love it. All right. We're not adding a readme. We're not adding a get ignore. We're going to do that through terminal. Sticker base stole the show indeed. Alrighty. And then as far as a description, catalog your sticker collection. Exclamation point. Because I'm a woman in a society that cannot be emotional. Sorry, that's too meta. Hang on. I'll leave y'all to read that while I go. Oh, that's funny. All right, let me stop sharing and fix the... Let's see. Window. Terminal. Onto stage. Cool. All right, so I switched over to terminal because we're going to do this again, practicing our CLI. Got to follow up with those tips and tricks we learned yesterday, and general like things we talked about, because that's important. Also, it is cold today. It is cold and raining, and while I love it, I am cold. I'm too cheap to turn my heater on. Thankfully, it's just me and my cat today, so no one else is struggling. All right. So in repositories, we're going to make a new folder, and we're going to name it the same thing for peace of mind, even though knowing we can technically name it a different name because the linking that happens between our remote repository and our local repository is done when we initialize... Oh, goodness, my camera died. Okay, camera's back. I don't know if you all are catching audio clipping with that, maybe. Hopefully not. Please let me know, because I'm like, if my camera still works, then great. Like if it's not, audio and camera are separate. Go to bed. Watch the recording later. Okay, camera still froze, or camera froze, but audio's good. Solid. I'm glad that's perfect. Okay. So once again, we are making a new repository. So if you're already in GitHub and you've clicked make new, you've gave it a name. And now we're going to go ahead and go back to our terminal, command line, PowerShell, command prompt, and VSC, whatever you use to interact with a text-only interface that will allow you to affect your computer. That. Oh my goodness, people are awake, and it's so early. Oh my hands are cold. What the? My hands are cold. This is why I made myself tea. Okay. Right, so we're gonna make a folder, and the folder can be named the same thing. Make dir. So we're typing make dir. If you're not familiar with command shell, terminal, etc. If you're not familiar with commands, make dir is make directory, based where directory is folder. And so we're gonna name that. Please don't give me nicknames and use my full name. I would appreciate it. I don't like nicknames. I see that in chat. But yes, sleep is important. Watch the recording later. I would much rather people get a healthy amount of sleep, drink coffee in the morning or something like that. I don't even drink coffee. I drink tea, really. But continuing on, you all are distracting me. It's okay. That's what chat's for. All right, Maker, we are going to make sure it's called sticker base. Thank you. I appreciate it. It's just a little bit of like, you know, being respectful of people's preferences. Who would have thunk? T-Gang! Yes! So apparently one of our other streamers does like a coffee thing for one of their mini events. And I really want to do a tea mini event, but not everybody drinks tea and not everybody has like fancy teas. And I don't know what to talk about during those. So I'm like, there's a lot of options. Alrighty, so I've made the directory sticker base. I've changed into the directory by using CD. If you're really uncomfortable with this, not familiar, falling behind, we can do that instead through the UI, where you might open your File Explorer or Finder, depending on your OS. Navigate to wherever you'd like to make the new folder. Once you make the new folder, obviously name it sticker base, and then go ahead and go into it. At this point, though, if you are using UI to interact with it, then I want you to open a terminal, navigate to that folder, so you need to know what that path is, such that you can then type code dot. Code dot would be the way to open Visual Studio Code. I already have it open, so I'm just going to manually navigate to that. But if you are unfamiliar with some shortcuts, you can do code dot within a folder, so that way you can open Visual Studio Code like in that specific scope. Cheat sheets. Not obligatory though. Right, so for those who just joined, like I said, we are setting up our GitHub repo. We are back to basics with this. We are very slowly stepping through this because it's beginners week. Got to make sure everyone's along. We have a freeze warning today, which for us is technically cold. Technically. I am only cold because I was wearing a sweater, but I have a shirt that I need to show off on stream, so I cannot wear my sweater. Which is why I have tea. All right. So I've made a folder called sticker base. I have entered that folder, and now we're going to run git init. And what this is doing is initializing a local Git repository in the folder that we just created. And as you can see, there's nothing in it after we run git init. If we were to do list all our items, then we will now have a .git folder, which will keep track of our commit history, of other things that have gone on. It's a very lightweight way of doing all the tracking that GitHub and Git-based services do. Cool. Let's see. Some people are in very cold places, and I'm very jealous because that means snow. All the snow is north of me right now, and I am sad. Also, the roads are closed, so if it is cold and dangerous, please be safe. Our roads are closed to the north, so cool. Alrighty, so we've initialized our Git repository. Another way you might be able to do this is when you've made that new repo, we didn't add a readme, didn't add a git ignore, didn't add anything else. That means that there's going to be instructions on that empty repository telling you what to do. You're welcome to follow those instructions or follow along with me. So we've done that. We need to make our readme. If you are familiar with Vim or Nano or VI, go ahead and just make a new file called readme.md. If you prefer to work with Visual Studio Code or your preferred text editor, go ahead and open that up and make a new file. Again, the shortcut to open Visual Studio Code is to just do code space dat. So your preference here, I'm a Vim fan. We're going to give it a title. I forgot to insert. Derp. Press I if you're not familiar with Vim and you want to learn really quickly. I is to insert. So we are giving it the name sticker base. And what does it do? Remember, 2 enters because this is going to be a markdown file. And we're going to go ahead and say personal catalog for your sticker collection. What is on our to-do today? I believe to do check marks. It's something like this. Yeah. So we have a couple checklists. First, we're going to do our MVP. So let's talk about that. We'll only have about an hour left in our stream. If we want a functional project by the end, such that we can have it in our main branch, remember yesterday's workshop, where we have something that's functional at the end of the day, at the end of the stream, at the end of our coding session. what would be our MVP? And while I have ideas about it, I do want to see what chat has to say about that. I'm going to set up some other check marks. I already have data in there. Waiting on chat. Adding in some other stuff. And y'all are still talking about it being cold. I guess there are no ideas. That's fine. It's fine. Okay. So I'll go ahead and mention for my idea of an MVP, generally that we want to have React on its own, no Next.js, maybe Material UI, just because I like Material UI. Zoned out writing the README. Honestly, fair enough. READMEs are pretty boring, but they help future you, and that's important. So our MVP is going to be React app is functional. Plus, we want to make sure that we've made some adjustments text-wise to know what even is going on, that we're not just pushing the actual like base React app as it unedited. So we do want to make some edits to it. So customize base React to, what was I saying? Sticker base. All right, so we have a couple things. We will come back and update this as we go. But now to exit the README, escape if you're using Vim. I don't know anything about Nano. I'm sorry, I never learned that one. Colon, write, lowercase w, quit, lowercase q. Oh Lord, y'all are hopping in there with ideas that I don't want to do. So we have a very large scope, complete full stack platform. Oh dang, I didn't know how. Oh yeah, I guess hollow pin makes sense because a lot of people collect pins too. We have a full Spring Boot app. Oof, I really tried to avoid learning Spring Boot. I mean, like, it's good, but like, if I could choose not to, I don't wanna. I'm assuming the joke is that there's a ton of AWS products out there that you end up using. Okay, this is a little bit better in scope. So we've got having the ability to upload an image of a sticker, adding a description, and saving it. We have an hour. If we followed a tutorial, we can definitely do that. But we are not. So we are going even simpler than that. Again, we're beginners here, beginner hacker. And while we love the idea of that, let's bring it back a bit. Just a bit more. I mean, if you're capable of doing it, like, shoot for the stars. Right, so to get out of the README file, you're going to hit, if you're in Vim, escape, colon, lowercase w, lowercase q, hit enter. Yes, as many AI models as we can handle. That would be a great feature scope thing of like, oh, I'd love to use AI to like say, you know, scan this photo and tell me what it is. But we are beginners and we are not using a tutorial. So we are struggle busing instead. Cool. So we've made our README. Was there anything else on our checklist that we needed to do? I'm going back just to make sure. Not really. But we actually can do a little bit more, which is that we're going to do the React setup in the process. And so, because we can just jump right ahead in that README and just make the create React app. So let's go ahead and grab that really quick. I have the web page for that because I never remember how to create a new React app. Whoops. Where is it? I had the tab. The tab has gone somewhere. Come on, show me my windows. Yeah, so I just have the Visual Studio Code tutorial. I know that you can't see it. I'm copy pasting from it, but the code for that is going to be so this requires two things, that you have NPM and Node.js. If you do not have either of those, let me go find that link for you. Let's see. You're going to want to download the most recent version of Node.js. I realized I should have mentioned that earlier. Shame on me. I'll give people a moment to download that. In the meantime, though, I am going to continue with the React commands. Again, this is recorded, so like it's okay if you fall behind. You're going to have a forked repo at the end, or at least your own personal repo to work with for you to fumble through on your own or individually, or even with me, because we are going to fumble hard. But for those of you who do have a relatively up-to-date Node.js, we're going to keep going on the terminal, so that way we can eventually push to our GitHub repo. If you are having a slow download speed and it's not going to be done anytime soon, you can still push the README file anyway. So in that part, you can follow along. Not too worried about that as well, with that in mind. So let's keep going. Cool. So we have npx create. This might actually take a little bit because it did when I tested it earlier. And so normally you would give your application a name, and in the tutorial for the code, the Visual Studio Code thing that I'm looking at, it says my-app. Obviously, our app is called StickerBase. And I realize the awkwardness that this is going to create. We're going to do some magic. We're going to go ahead and let it create sticker base. So what this is doing, but because I forgot about it and I should have done it this the other way. Whoops. By running npx create React app, it's going to create a set of folders within the sticker base name that we've created. So there's a folder that it's creating for us, and then all the stuff within it, which we'll go through as well. The problem is that now we have this like nested folder, which is a little weird. And so the UI way that you would approach fixing this is just going to Finder or Windows Explorer, taking the whole folder and moving it up one, like dragging and dropping it. But we are command line practitioners, and so we are going to move it using the move command, which is MV, once it's done installing, which will take a bit. Time. Yes, definitely go back and watch the stream on the recordings on YouTube and on Twitch. If you have never done Create React App or you have like slow internet speed or something, it will take a little bit. The only reason this was so quick was just because I already had some stuff set up. So if npx does not work, let's go Google it. Let me go and switch screens so that way we can see. Again, we're beginner hackers, so we are live hacking. Let's go find what I need. Share this. Add to stage. Okay, we are Google. npx in Windows does not work. And then let me zoom in. And we only want necessary cookies. Okay. There's a white space. That could be the issue. Not having enough context. This may not be it. Does not work on Windows. Oh, this is only if there's spaces in the username. Command not found. Ah, that's okay. Thank you. That helps. npm command not found. So I'm pretty sure that generally this is going to be a matter of adding it to your environment variables. Oh, wow. This is alrighty. Here we go. Chat's coming in hot with you have to install npx, which I'm pretty sure comes through npm, but maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. It could be that you have white spaces in your project name, which you can't do either. But I think realistically, if you have a fresh install of npm and Node.js, you might need to check your path and system variables. And just for the sake of npm versus npx, just for the sake of checking things, what is the difference between npm and npx? I don't know. So let's look at it. What's the difference? So npm is our package manager. npx That is also an excellent question. Did you install Node? If you did not download Node yet, then you cannot use it. But because you're in Windows, there's a chance that the path variables in your environment may not be set up either. Sometimes it takes a computer restart. Sometimes it takes some other things. So let's just double check. NPM. What I really want to do is see the difference because I don't actually know. So we're going to go quickly learn. NPX, the package owner. Okay. NPM version 5.2.0. NPX is pre-bundled with NPM, which tells me as long as you have Node and therefore NPM, you should technically have Node, the package owner. But I'm kind of wondering that it could be a fresh install. PowerShell is a great idea. PowerShell will generally have most of your stuff and work better than just command prompt. Highly recommend PowerShell over the other. Also an excellent point. Does Node-V work or NPM-V? And it looks like there is a Stack Overflow link. Awesome. Stack Overflow. Install React. NPX create React app. I didn't spell correctly. This one. Alrighty. But it says command not found was the error. Let's see. What else is in this answer? Yeah, it could be that it's not the right updated version. That would be another recommendation. Yeah, I do have to type out links just because I can't directly copy from how I'm receiving links on my side of things from the stream, but that's okay. I have good Google foo. That is the one thing. I may be terrible at programming and coding and have like outdated knowledge, but I am really good at Googling things. Alrighty. So this is actually something that I did before I even started the stream. I uninstalled Create React App, and then I reinstalled it by just saying like npm install, etc. So to uninstall it, let me go pull that up really quick. Let me share this too. So this is what I'm following. Let me zoom in for people. So I did this. It means that it'll be very slow in reinstalling things, but it will make sure that you have the right version of Create React App, which might be what's happening. But again, since it says command not found, I really do think this is related to environment variables. I would double check that in your environment variables which if I had my Windows like desktop up, I would be able to show you directly, but I cannot. So I have to go through this by memory, where you go to your start menu, you type in environment variables, and then you should get like a little like result in your search. You don't hit enter. That should say like update or change or something like that, environment variables. Click that. Scroll down in the window that appears to where it says path variables. Not the top one, but the second window, like on the like pop-up window, and then there should be like path in all caps. Then you double click the field that has like Java and Python and all these other things that are in there, and you see if Node is in there. And if Node is not in there, I need you to Google how to add Node to my path variable. Alrighty. No, I know what I'm doing sometimes. I know that this is fine. Oh, well, with old that you think I go back to old projects? I really should, but I don't, which means I'm a hypocrite from one of the other streams I did. She or they is fine. Don't worry about it. I'm happy with either. This one is fine, technically. I really did test it. It is okay. But it does mean that if you have earlier projects that you've made, you may have some issues, but that means that you should have updated your project. All right. So getting back onto the swing of things, Tingo has gone quiet for a hot minute. When they come back with updates, hopefully we get to keep debugging in chat. If not, we're going to go ahead and continue. Like I said, we'll come back and reroute. Solved! Yay! Yeah! I love that. Okay, what was the solution? You can't just leave us hanging. Like, this is like top stock overflow stuff that you can't just be like, oh yeah, I fixed it, and then never tell people the answer. What happened? They are potentially typing. npm install create React app. I must lightly clap for that. We were we didn't do good debugging, but we did fix it in under 5 minutes, and I'll take that. Maybe it was 10. It might have been 10. Alrighty. Cool. So at this point, people probably have the React app set up and it is finished installing, or your node is finished installing. We are now going to go back to GitHub, where we are going to follow the additional instructions. We've already done git in. Oh, wait, no, hang on. Forgot. We got to move the folder. Let me switch the screen really quick. So there's 2 ways to do this before we actually get into it. The low error prone way is to go through your UI. So Finder or your Windows Explorer, navigate to the original sticker-based folder we made, and then drag the new sticker-based folder that has all the React stuff up a level so that way they merge together. We're going to do it with command line because we should know how to do things in command line. And so what we are going to do is do it through command lines. Let me go pull up the window. Sticker base. We are making our work harder, but we are having more control over what's going on. Whether or not I remember to do it right is another question that we need to have. All right, add stitch. Okay. So let's go up one folder. cd ... means go up one folder. We're going to list stuff. And whoops, wrong one. I went up a folder I didn't need to. We didn't even get in there. All right. Okay, so we have the sticker-based folder that React app created, and we are currently in the folder that we created. So what you could do, there are 2 ways to go about this. Again, you could go into the folder and say move asterisk and then ... and that would say just take everything and chuck it out. We could also do the CLI version of the UI where we go up one folder and say move our lower folder into the other one, which gets a little bit confusing. So we're instead just going to move the contents and pray. And by pray, I mean we're going to hope so maybe don't do anything. Don't follow me until I have proved that it works. I forgot about this. Right. So we're going to move the contents of sticker base. And I'm pretty sure you don't actually need an asterisk. It'll probably tell us if it's wrong. And we're going to move it here. We don't need the slash. We're going to need this list. That didn't work. So we're going to do it again without the asterisk. Not empty. No, that's not what I wanted. I wanted to just move. All right, hang on. Sticker base. Sticker base. There's another way to do this, and I'm just blanking. Oh, you know what? It's because Is it because I added the slash? Sticker base. We don't want the slash to here. I'm aware of that, but the contents are not identical. Wait. Huh? Huh? Hang on. I did something wrong. What happened? Something is wrong. I did something wrong. I think I deleted everything. Yeah, I deleted everything. All right, let's go redo this. Wow, rude. Rude. That's pretty good, actually. That's pretty funny. Alrighty, we're gonna redo this. This is, again, in true hacker form. How do we fix this now? Again, we haven't done anything particularly extraneous, but we still mucked it up, and it happens. Now we're gonna go fix it. So we're gonna, if the directory's open, we're gonna go remove directory. It's not empty, so what's in it? What on earth is in this? Another git ignore. Okay, what's in the git ignore? Is it going to give us all the React stuff. Okay, great. I like that. We're going to keep this. And we're going to move the .getignore. I really hope that's not the case 404 because I'm going to be really sad. Oh no. No. Let's go double check. No, I did not do that. I did not do that. It didn't. Alrighty. Now can I remove sticker base the folder? I think it's good to know how to do this kind of stuff. With great power comes great responsibility. All right, we have a getignore now, which is nice. We don't need the DS store though. Let's go check the getignore since y'all are commenting on that. Nope, I wanted to vi.getignore. Alrighty, dependencies, new modules. Great. Production, build, miscellaneous. Great. Great. Okay, that's reasonable. That's fine. There's no folder paths in here that I'm really all that worried about. Let's go up one. And we're gonna go with a couple commands. Wow, I really did a lot of commands there. Let's see if it'll do it in the folder that already exists. Let's do science. Science is if you do it 3 times and you get the same results or similar results that you can measure. I'm just curious to see if it should work. Because I said it was fine, but I didn't check the file contents. So, It's doing stuff. Oh, thank you. I'm just going up in my command history. Sorry. Yeah, so this is why knowing how to use command line is good because you can unmess up your mess up, which is what I'm doing. Alrighty. So it has done things. It's taking an hour. That's okay. It's okay. It's only been an hour. Alrighty. You had a readme. We named it to old. Oh, thank you. That's nice. Okay. Aha. We have done it correctly this time. Okay. To explain what I did, you can go ahead and just delete through UI or CLI, your preference. Actually, just do it. Just do it through the UI. I really don't want people to run into remove star. I really don't want to explain that. I really don't want people deleting their whole file system today. Yeah. Okay. So what I did, removed what we had with regards to sticker base because somehow I managed to overwrite the folder. Whoops, happens. Just so you know, move can work as the copy function. Normally copy is CP. If you use MV and you decide that you want to rename a folder or copy something, you can actually rename and copy stuff using move. Secrets about command line. With great power comes great responsibility. So please proceed carefully because you will learn how you mess up. And the only reason I know that that is the way it is because I've done this before and I've also done the exact same mistake. It's just been probably a decade. But yeah. So after I moved things, I kept my README. I copied the getignore because that was useful, even though somehow that didn't get removed from the folder. Go figure. And then we ran create app from one level above the folder that we created, sticker base. So if that was in your documents folder, in my case, it's in my repositories folder, etc. Generally, it is a good habit to type pwd, print working directory, before you do any changes. In our case, we are now in the sticker base directory that is newly created and merged and everything. We're going to double check things are there, which is I typed ls and there's also ls-al, which will give you all the like date and time and permissions that are available, which is nice when you start using chmod in order to make sure that you can access certain things. Just a heads up. But we have source, we have public, cool. We have a normal create React app. What we do need to fix now is the readme ND and the readme old. And what we're going to do is we're going to quickly check what's in the new readme. Let's see. It tells us how to run things. Great. It would be smart of us to keep this for future selves, and therefore we will not adjust it. So we're going to run git status, see how much we got to add. Now it's important that we have a git ignore. This git ignore means that things like the package lock and any libraries that we were to add if we were to say npm install, which we will do later, will not be added to our GitHub because that will bloat our GitHub repo. And because of the way npm and Node itself works, we end up making like a bunch of like library folders. But as we give people the package lock, which gives them the list of requirements, libraries, etc., scripts, what have you, people only really need that. So that's why we have a git ignore. Please make sure you have a git ignore before you do your first push. It's very important. But again, thinking about yesterday's workshop, there are many ways you can add files. You can say dot. You can say star. Don't do those. Do not do those. Specifically, don't do star. There are ways instead that you can add things where you might say, well, I want to add the public folder and the source folder and package.json, blah, 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 blah. It's good habit to have control over what you're adding. But the most important thing first is your git ignore. That's the first thing you have to add. And then it never has to change unless you find that there are things you need to change, which happens. And so then we want to add both the readmes. So we're going to do git add. And this is where you can do star. We're going to look at status. And look, we have both readmes because we said readme.star, not star add the whole thing. There's a difference. Again, familiarity with regex expressions are very useful, very helpful, because then you have, instead of sitting there typing each individual file, you can say, hey, I know that every TypeScript ending file .ts or every React TypeScript .tsx, every file is good to go. I definitely want to add it, etc. And if I ever wanted to remove things, I would just say git rm -- cached, etc. To unstage it, because I don't want to delete it. I just don't want to stage it. This hurts my soul, but you're right, probably. Learning by doing and failing positively is the best way to learn when you are hacking in a hackathon, because it can be really easy to get run down by, hey, I messed up again. Hey, I messed up again. Okay, yeah, I messed up. But did I learn from it? Yes. Did I remember what I messed up? Yes. And did I have fun? Yeah, I had fun. Is it in front of like 30 plus people? Yeah. Can't mess up that bad. I've done worse. I really have done worse. Actually, I know people who have done worse than me. And there's one thing that I have yet to do that I'm very glad I haven't done. Mess up GitHub history. When you mess up Git history, people don't like you. Do not mess up Git history if you can help it. Never force push. That always messes up GitHub history. So, if you learn nothing else, push wisely. Cool. So we're still adding stuff. We want to make sure that we add package.json. And you see that I'm getting previews. I'm typing tab every so often just to double check, like, are there more things I should add? Would it make sense to add an asterisk or not? Checking git status to see, did I accidentally add something I didn't want to? These are good habits, even if very tedious. Again, we are CLI practitioners today. And we do also want to add our public folders and our source folders. So, oops daisy, git public source. Nope, I'm derping hard. That's why. There we go. All right, cool. So I added the public and the source, and that means that it added everything in those folders, which is fine. We're fine with that. And so now we can go through and double check what this is. So we have files in our source file. We're going to look through that. We have files in public. We're not going to look through that, but it's just, we'll come back to that. And so last thing we have is the package lock. I am pretty sure you can push package lock, but I'm going to go Google that really quick. UI push to GitHub. Is that good practice? I don't know. Yes. If you're working in a team, it's important to commit your package log. Okay. Cool. We're going to go do that then. Git add package. And so as you reduce files that are available in that Git status, when you tab to complete, it will automatically know what it is you're missing because you have less to deal with. So in this case, the only thing left is package lock. It was easy to auto-complete that. One final Git status to make absolutely sure we know what's going into our new repository. All stuff we want to go in the new repository, yes. And then we're going to wrap our staged commits, or the things that we're like, hey, these files, they're important. I want other people to see it. I'm going to write git commit-m. And we're going to start in quotes, and we're just going to say initial commit of base React app. This is actually quite long as far as a commit message goes. We could say initial commit, which would generally be recommended, and everybody does it. But is it descriptive as to what the initial commit has? Because we now have more than just a README. We also have like the whole React setup. Yeah, it's pretty important to mention, like, this is a React setup, by the way. Eventually we'll go and fix the README stuff, but I just don't want to do that right now. I just want to get this like repo set up that people who are not following along can just fork it and we can move on with our lives. But yeah. We're going to go ahead, hit enter. It's saying, all right, it's created and packaged all these stuff into our little commit message. So again, from yesterday's workshop, we bundle our stuff and wrap it around with a label or a message. So that way anyone who looks at our commit history is like, I know exactly what happened. I forgot to set that up. That's okay. I'll do that after. Rip. And so normally if we had set up the remote and everything, we would just say git push. Because once we do a commit, we would like to push things. If you are not confident that what you are doing has the things that you need, you can still undo a commit before you've pushed it. Once you've pushed it, you will have that history forever. Just a thought. Just a thought. But on the other hand, if you don't push it, your friends don't have it. So weigh the benefits. It also means that if you were on like a different like computer or something, you won't be able to access those changes. It's just like bundled and still in your like local instance. All right. So I've done that. We do need some repository setup to do, which is going to be, hang on. We are following the instructions in that repo again. We're going to do git branch -m main. I have PTSD from other people making the wrong pushes. There's a story there. There's a few stories there. Namely, that I didn't mess up GitHub, but my teammates did. And we had to rewrite Git history. And that was horrible. All right. So I typed in git branch -main. At this point, like I had said, I'm following the preview in the empty repo that we set up. So we're basically setting the main branch, the like thing that we will do good habits of software engineering on. And then we need to add git not remove, add origin. And this is the one that I'd recommend you copy paste instead of typing it like I am, because I'm playing with God today. Cool. We've got the right remote. The last thing you do is you git push -u origin main. And this just sets the upstream to make sure that things go to the right place. They are fully connected, because if you type git push, it's going to tell you need to do this thing. You don't have to do this setup anymore. Once we've done and pushed this, at that point, we just commit, push, done. And it's much simpler commands, unless we make branches, which we're going to do. Cool. So let's set up a new branch, make sure the remotes are set up just in case. Let's double check we don't have to push anything. Whoops, I typoed. Nope, hang on. I didn't want to do that. Sorry, hang on. There we go. Okay, git push, no typo. Okay, everything's up to date. So let's go back to the website. We spent a lot of time on setup, but that's important because now we just have to give someone a link when we're submitting our project in a hackathon. Just a thought. There is a method to my madness. Occasionally. Not always. Sometimes I just do dumb things and it just... All right, let's go ahead and refresh. Alrighty. So it has the README. It doesn't have what we wrote as our old README. We'll need to update that later. But as you can see, it has all of the stuff that we have personally added and it's okay with. You'll see that DS store, which you saw in my initial list stuff in the folder, is not there because the git ignore makes sure that things don't end up there. Cool. So we now have our repo set up. And so for those who are following along, you can fork this. If you already have your own, you don't need to worry about the fork. You're just coding alongside me, and that's fine. Okay, cool. We're at the hour mark. Let's take a break for 5 minutes. Right. This is my least. All right, let's go fix this. I'm pretty sure this is a typo that happened. Yep. Has no upstream branch. Hang on. Let me put the correct one as. I'm only going to war flashbacks. Here's the PTSD right here, right now. Alrighty. Do you mind telling us what commands you did in chat, like in order? Like, I need to know git commit and then everything after. Like, what have you typed after? Actually, yes. No, it has no main upstream branch. No, that's not it. All right, can we do this in 5 minutes or less? If you would like to take a break for 5 minutes, you can. Otherwise, we're going to keep working on this. I will not take a break. I will keep working on the bug. Not you origin master, but you origin main. Ah, solved. What was the answer? What was it? Hey, there we go. Love it. Cool. All right, we'll take a 3-minute break. We'll be back at, it's 2:05 for me. So it's 2:02 right now, but I'm saying we'll be back at 2:05. Yeah, kind of. Yeah. Okay. Welcome back to Cecilia and Chat, Learn by Trial Through Fire. We are going to keep going. Thinking back to our minimum viable product, and also that we want to be done by about the 30 to 45 minute mark with the intent of opening for any questions and planning ahead. We are running out of time. So let's work on our minimum viable product, where we double check with what that even was in the first place. Remember, I had y'all scale down your scope a lot because I knew what was coming. I knew we would be debugging and I would mess things up. So our MVP is actually not on our checklist, but we can actually check that off. We confirmed that our end of stream, that MVP is through our old README. Hang on. I picked the wrong one. Old. I didn't even I didn't set up the markdown correctly. Classic. Typical. I think I forgot to add a space between the dash and the checkboxes. One day I will remember. But we said that we would get the React app functional and customize the base to React, customize the base React to sticker base. So let's take a look at that. That's because I make them frequently enough that I'm like, oh, I did the thing again. Time to fix it again. But let's see how far we get, because I'm going to really mess more stuff up. Part of being a hacker is being okay with making mistakes. It's being okay with failure. Again, we are failure positive. This is meant to be a learning experience. We are learning together. So also you said you were going to go do homework. So go do your homework. What is school these days? I don't have classes anymore. I just have to write my dissertation. I'm not going to comment on that one. All right. What am I sharing? I am sharing the README. We are going to change screens. We're finally in the coding part, not the command line part, which was still important. Go to window, go to sticker base. Alrighty. And add to stage, because we have learned our lesson. Alrighty. Gosh, my brain is slowing down. I'm like thinking too many steps ahead about, we need to do this for like next in stream tomorrow, but like tomorrow it's really early. So, alrighty. Nothing has been missed. All I did was switch windows, really. And people say that I'm solving problems quickly, but that will change soon. Alrighty. So if you have a preferred a JavaScript text editor, whether it's Visual Studio Code, I'm sure IntelliJ has their own version of something at this point. Is it Visual Studio? If you're using that, I commend you for your patience. Otherwise, yeah, go ahead and open Visual Studio Code. Again, the shortcut to do that through CLI is in the folder that you would like to open, which is sticker base, code space dot. If you just want to open the normal way, navigate to the folder, that's fine too. That's pretty much what I did, because I already had Visual Studio Code opened and I just didn't want to open a new window or have it replace some other stuff that I have open. And we're going to take a look at what we got. If you are not familiar with React, what you're looking at is not actually the entry point to this. The entry point is actually index.js. And we're going to open package.json. And I'm going to go fix some stuff while we're at it. We're gonna merge stuff. Hang on. I've had enough. Don't save. Paste. Add space, add space, add space. Reduce some enters. I'm just merging stuff and then deleting it so that on our next push, we will be set. We can delete, move old README. All right, we have clean things. Remember, we want to customize the base app. So for those who don't understand React or have never been involved in React at any point, I'll very quickly go through it. The words I may use are actually probably not what they use anymore. Again, outdated. A lot of things have changed, et cetera, et cetera. Let's go ahead and close this. So everything in your source folder is generally what you're going to be working with. When you compile React such that you can deploy it to a website, server, et cetera, host it, whatever you plan to do with it, that is consumable by the internet, you end up with things in the public folder. So we generally won't touch anything in the public folder. Everything we do will be in source. unless we're installing things. That'll be in the libraries folder, etc. We are going to install Material UI before we're done with this stream as well, so that way we're set up for tomorrow, where I'll do it. Yeah, okay. But the other thing is that you can see a couple of imports. We have import React DOM, blah, 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 blah. If you're familiar with JavaScript, it's fairly similar. Like import library from library content or something that was exported for visibility from current library. Then you have const root, React DOM, strict mode, etc. I would really like to do this in TypeScript, but for the sake of reducing the complexity, I think we won't do TypeScript, even though I really want to because I should learn it better. But it is what it is. We also hit save. Okay. So from index.js, we won't generally touch anything here for now. I don't think we will at all, but I will make sure not to leave any like declarative statements that I can't walk back. I spend most of my time in app.js and everything else that I make. And so if we were to run the server or run this setup, which I'll also teach you that really quick, you'll see that it's importing some logos, it's importing the CSS. So this is all very similar to HTML, CSS, and of course, this part, JavaScript. The difference is that the HTML is housed within the JavaScript instead of with bare bones HTML, CSS, JavaScript, where it would be housed within script tags, and it would be HTML organizing the whole thing. So it's kind of like flipped the lid on how you might go about development. Mostly the same context and mostly the same things you can kind of use, but there are some key differences. Namely that you have to add quotation marks everywhere. You can also insert things now. It's a little bit more programmer friendly. It is also not programmer friendly in that you're like, wait, I have to return an object? Okay, that's fine. You can only return one object per React function. So as you can see, there's function app. We have a div that's enclosing everything within this that's being returned. So we could add stuff here, like body or whatever. We could add stuff. That's not actually how it's going to work, but we could add more divs if we wanted, or paragraphs or what have you, but it must be within the div. What we cannot do is add another div or another field or something to that effect. Oh my goodness, I can't type today. This is wrong because you can only return one object, one encapsulated housed object. So I know that someone else is already streaming on like software engineering good practices. This is, I think, a good practice of React in that it makes it like you can only return an object. Thank you. Fix that. Awesome. I do indeed want to know because I forget things all the time. That's why I want chat to tell me what's wrong. All right. Cool. So the nice thing also about Create React App is that it gives us something that already works. So in line with yesterday's workshop about GitHub Basics, we want a functioning application in our main branch. Therefore, that someone who clones our repo will always get a working product. And so how do we know this even works? Like, how do you display things? How do you run things? How do you do anything in React? And when you first did the Create React App, it said, hey, type npm run start or npm start. I forget exactly. If you're not sure what it is, go to package.json, go to the scripts section here, and you'll see that there's some pre-written things here. And you don't have to type this. It's that you need to type these keywords at the start to tell it what to do. Don't use eject. Don't worry about that for now. Don't worry about test. And don't worry about build. Just don't. Don't worry about it. These you can Google on your own or whatever. The only one we care about for the next 3 workshops is start. Now, it's not as simple as just typing start in your command line. If you have your Visual Studio Code set up, it should just work. If you don't, go through your terminal, which we know is set up because we debugged people's stuff earlier. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to open a new terminal in Visual Studio Code for the sake of preview and reducing the amount of screen switching for my sake. But my goal is that I'm just going to be able to, from within the folder that we're working in, npm run is what you need to type if you're going to run any of the scripts within package.json. I'm going to run start. And so you can see that it's starting our sticker base. It's running React script start. We don't have to type that. Everyone knows what npm run keyword will do if we go to the package.json. And so that's how you actually run really anything in what's that called? And like Node, like everybody just knows to use npm run start. That is the common keyword phrasing, etc. So it says that it's run successfully. It says that it's running on localhost 3000. The thing is, you obviously can't see it on my screen currently. So I'm going to talk about one last thing and then we'll switch just to prove it. But if you're running this locally for yourself, you can already open this on your localhost 3000. React commonly uses the port 3000 when you're testing. This is not visible by anyone else. Even though my local IP address is there, you can't access it because it's on a Wi-Fi network. So everybody uses localhost 3000 when they're doing front-end stuff. I think 8000 or 8080 is usually for IoT / API / other like server stuff, which we're not getting into today. But there are a few like key ports that everybody uses. So let's see. The last thing that I wanted to talk about with regards to React is to play with it in the sense of, hey, if I make changes in app.js or make a new folder, what have you, and I hit save, the way that this React script setup works means that it will automatically reload the page in localhost 3000 and will show my updates. And that's the nice thing about React and React scripts and create React app, because it does it for you. It will automatically update things. And generally, that's the case with most front-end frameworks, applications, etc., that you can just make your changes, hit save, and off you go. What you cannot do is when it's a server. And there's probably a library out there that lets you do like save and restart server and stuff. Generally, though, I don't see it that often. That could have changed in the last 6 years, though, for sure. And as chat is saying, there are different ports for different languages and APIs and frameworks. Sometimes it's consistent. Sometimes it's because like they think it's a joke and it's great, which that is a great joke. 4321. I love it. All right. So let me very quickly present the localhost 3000 tab. Cool. And add to stage. So this is the app.js instance that they have. So it says edit to save and reload. And so I'm going to go ahead and make changes. This is a new change because I can't think of anything funny right now. And I'm going to hit save. And so on my side, it's telling me for Visual Studio Code that it recompiled, it changed. But as you can see on the UI, I literally put this as a new change and it updated it once I hit save. So that's the nice thing about using React. There are many other benefits to React, but the point is we have React app. So let's go ahead and customize it. So I'm going to keep my web page open so that way I know what's going on. You're obviously going to be coding along me or following or seeing the code that I'm writing, which is not going to be much because, again, we only have like 30-some minutes less than that. And we're just going to make changes to start thinking about sticker base as a whole. So we probably want let me also see if I can close the terminal. Close panel. No, I don't want it to like shut down. I don't want to clear it. Maybe I can just do that. There we go. All right. So calling upon your experiences in past live workshops, you have learned about HTML, CSS, JavaScript. The only two ones that I'm actually really concerned about is the HTML part, and because that's what we're going to be editing to start. And so we already have a header, we have our paragraph, we have a link, and we have another piece of text underneath in our link that is related to that. So what are we writing to indicate the home page of our React app? The last step was through your terminal or through Visual Studio Code, if you're using that, to type npm space run space start to just get your server started. And then through your preferred browser, type localhost :3000 or whatever it is that the link that they provide you in that output, and then just leave that running for now. If you ever need to start it at some point or to stop it, I believe I usually just go like Control-C, Control-Z, and one of them will stop the server. I never remember which one because it's inconsistent sometimes across programs. But Control-C, Control-Z to stop the server or to stop our local instance of React running. But let me add to stage. Cool. So we're gonna make changes. And so what I'm curious about is, what should we write? what should be in our homepage. Ideally, we would have done some design work, but I want to make sure that we actually have some coding that people are like feeling like they've done something, and then we actually do have that minimum viable product at the end. So we're going to get rid of this, and we're going to get rid of this image. We're not going to hit save yet, but now we have a header that we need to add in. A good header might be something like sticker base, because that's the name of our project. What else we might want to do is provide the byline or whatever it is that we want people to know about it. So we'll do a paragraph for right now, and we'll say catalog your stickers here. And let's see, we have a header. Blit, blit, blit. We probably want a footer. And we're going to say things like made by something with love. I'm going to put Sun Hacks because that's my favorite event. I am biased. And I'm going to hit save. And it's going to yell at me because I forgot to escape the carrot. There's a way to do this. Nope. We're just going to put it in brackets. And we're going to do quotations, and we're going to do backspace. Back. Oh, it's yelling at me because there's a way to do a heart in HTML. And I'm just forgetting heart, HTML, Google. HTML code for heart symbol. There we go. That thing. Let's just change that to that. And the reason it's freaking out is just because when you use greater than, less than, it's like, hey, you're creating a tag in here. We don't recognize this tag that you're using, which is, you know, an incomplete tag because there's no like greater than sign. So we'll hit save. It's telling us there's a warning now, which I'm like, what's the warning? Why do you hate me? Oh, logo is defined but never used. So do take a look at the output whenever you hit save, just to be like, hey, did I mess anything up? In that sense, because I deleted logo and it's telling me it's not used, it's faded out now. So we don't need logo for now, so we're just going to delete it. Gonna hit save, and it should say built successfully, no issues. Awesome. And so we can still see it at this same localhost 3000. You can click the link, control click, etc., whatever you prefer. But let's go back to, let me see. So now we have, why is my window not rendering? Let me reset my zoom for myself. That's probably why. Where is my footer? Why are you not sure? There it is. Oh, interesting. Let's put this in a div. And let's move this here. And I don't think this is going to fix it. I'm just trying to finagle with the React app because I'm like, why is it weird? Oh, okay. So this is a CSS problem, why it's like not showing. So we'll go to index.css. I'm going to take a look at what they have for us already. So they've got lots of fonts, lots of other stuff, but they have nothing about header. Why is header so big? We do have a body though. Let's go take a look at what's rendering. So I think if you go to public, nope. What's going on? Why do you hate me? What have I forgotten to do? Version 0 is for the body, but we got rid of that. We have return app, header, sticker base, footer. We're going to delete that. And delete that. I'm going to double check some HTML tags because I added HTML tag. I'm pretty sure it goes above the body. Container for introductory contents. That's a blah, 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 blah. Yeah, actually, why is this like this? This should be H1. Let's do that. Move this. Place there. Hit save. See what happens. My computer is crying. Weird. I guess this is the React CSS setup that I'm messing with that it doesn't like. Oh, duh. I should go to app CSS, not index CSS. That's probably why. Alrighty, text align app logo. We don't need that anymore. We'll leave that. We don't need that. Header, min height, 100 view height. Let's change that to 50. We don't need such a big header. Hey, there we go. And we're also going to copy this. So I'm kind of speeding through a couple things just because I wanted to add some customizations before we're done. I'll replace this with footer. And now we should have like a hamburger style set up or something. It should also... And then I need to also go back to app.js. And that is what's missing. Make sure that things are hooked up. App footer. Okay. So what I have done is, I will show you what it looks like. Share screen, React app, share. Come on, computer, you can do it. Okay, so this is what it looks like now. This is what our minor edits have done, which is that we have a header and footer that are separated by our little bit of a paragraph tag there. So we've customized it a bit. It's not enough that we have a home page, but it is enough that we have changed the original thing. We fiddled, good to go. Which we are perfectly on time for. Let me change the screen, double check what we've got left on our checklist today. Change that, open the window, beginner, share, cool. So we did our React setup. We decided to do JS for now, given all the issues we've been having. And we do need to install Material UI. And so to install Material UI, because that will be eventually our CSS work, generally Material UI is just nice to work with. I enjoy it. I think it's clean. There are many different preferences about what people prefer to use, like Bulma or Tailwind or God knows what else is out there. I just prefer Material UI. It's just clean. So in order to do that, let's go very quickly be like, well, how do I install Material UI? Install Material UI. Installation. So there's a couple ways you can integrate things into your setup. You can use npm install. I actually use Yarn most of the time, but npm is just what everybody uses, even though they're basically the same thing. There are different, like, there's tiny nuanced differences. So let me do that. So we're going to use npm. We're going to copy this, actually. Interesting. I do not like that. Copy. Right-click copy. Did it not copy correctly? Probably not. Okay. And let's see. Using styled components. I don't know what this is. I'm not going to deal with it because I'm doing very bare bones. There's a lot more information about what you can install, but the reality is we're mostly just going to use the npm library. And then they do offer other ways that you might be able to use it. Something that was common for a lot of people who were doing bare bones is actually to use a CDN, which you're welcome to Google on your own time, because I cannot do a worthwhile explanation right now. I used to know, and I used to have a good explanation, but I'm like, I don't trust myself right now. But it's instead of you having it packaged, your user would have to download it. That's the short version. We are doing it for our user because we're nice like that. Just good developer things, I guess. Right. So we've copied that command. We're going to go ahead and jump to our command line. We're actually not going to go back to Visual Studio Code, but you're welcome to use it there. I just don't know that everybody has Visual Studio Code set up the way that I do, which generally means that things work. But I'm not going to rely on that assumption, where we're just going to go back to our terminal/command line. And we're going to paste our command there, where we are just going to hit paste. And so you can see it has npm install. Hit enter. It's going to work on stuff. Once it's finished installing, we should be able to see Material UI and the version in our package JSON. Lots of issues. Love it. I personally don't fix these issues. but it is important to note that there are issues. Some people will try and fix them. That's the problem with libraries. Not everyone is safe. I don't know why Material UI is acting this way, but it is. And let's go double check. All right. And we're going to go back to Visual Studio Code to prove that it actually showed up. Window, Visual Studio Code. So I've already opened up package.json. Add to stage. And you can see, if my zoom will work, when we look at our dependencies section, we have emotion, react, style, etc. We have our Material UI, and we have a bunch of other stuff that was already installed when we did create React app. Alrighty, so is there anything else we need to really know? No. Did we accomplish our bare minimum viable product? Yes, we did. Thank goodness. Even with our debugging, we did good. We did good, folks. All right, let's go back to our checklist. Add to stage. Gonna close that up. Close that up. Close that. We have our server. Again, if you were going to say be done for the day, log off, whatever, make sure that you turn off your server just by hitting Control-C, Control-Z, whichever one of those works. But once again, we have now done that. Cool. So I mentioned something about a MongoDB setup, which is basically the leftovers from last time, added in a few more things. The gist of this being that I put the data in manually, and then I went back to MongoDB and I was like, let me just go add some stuff. So I need to go find Mongo, which I thought I had open. Where is my Mongo setup? Where is Mongo? Mongo. Sign in. I'll put the tab on just a moment. Oops, that's not it. Wanted to log in with my GitHub. Or my email, I guess either works. Come on, Mongo. You know I'm here already. You don't need to bother me again. Alrighty. Cool. Then. Not really an IDE, just a text editor. I like using just text editors and command line. I prefer to have control over things. Yes, I'm going to mess more stuff up, but at least I'm going to really know things, and that's different. Alrighty. Browse collections. So I have a free MongoDB cluster set up due to the education pack. They give you a lot of sample data and collections, sample collections, but I made a new collection called stickers, and in that we have data. And the metadata is just what I named the collection within the stickers database, where I'm like, the only way I can best describe the collection is that it's metadata about stickers. And so in this, it is not very visible. I don't know that this is really going to do anything helpful, but that is disgusting. Can I change this? Maybe I can do that. Hey-yo. Okay. So I have 4 results in this collection that I just pasted in using the insert document feature here. And so this will be our sample data that we're working with. You'll notice it's not connected to Azure right now, so there's no URL for the images. I just have arbitrary names, image host URL, just because that's going to be something we do later. I need to make sure some stuff is working and set up before I go and teach about that, just because I haven't done that yet. And that one I could really mess up, and I really don't want to burn my credits messing up. So I'll explain after. But, oh my, there are some things in chat. But yeah, so we have our Mongo stuff set up. So let's go ahead and go back. And let me go and fix the window again. We have added the data. Our MongoDB is already set up because we did it way back when. And with that, the only thing we really didn't get to is designing the UI. I did actually do some wireframing before the stream, like the other day just to be like, what would an interaction look like depending, or what would things look like depending on whether someone is logged in or not? Let me change I don't know if people will be able to see this actually. Worse, that people will judge my handwriting, which is, yeah, let's see how this goes. Hey, that's not too bad. It's very, very tiny though, but you can see some wireframing that shows how someone might work with a web view of it. How someone might work with a phone. The intent is more that you just see some outlines of things. And then I have also some versions of if someone was logged in. And so pretty much what I'll be doing this afternoon in between PhDing and cleaning my house, I will be working on designing things in Figma. So that way I have something to show for y'all tomorrow who are joining me super early for all of us on the West Coast. Just to understand like what we're actually like trying to get to. Again, thinking in the like space of that minimum viable product. What is the bare minimum thing we need? And so somebody mentioned uploading. I did actually find some tutorials on that. We might actually follow that, or I'd just be like, here's a tutorial. I followed it. It's already set up. We're good to go. Here's the link in case you want to do it yourself. Just because it depends. Like sometimes there's things that's like, why would I reinvent the wheel when somebody's already done it effectively and with good coding? Who knows? The last thing I wanted to mention before we close out basically for questions, chatting in general, etc., before you all run off to your next stream, is that I wanted to talk about development practices. We talked about this yesterday with regards to GitHub, namely that good practices. Oh, I forgot to commit and push. Whoops, let's go do that. I'll mention what we're doing while we're doing that. Share screen. Window. CSH. Add to stage. Cool. Git status. Great. So we've made changes. We deleted the file. We modified the README, modified package JSON, blah, 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 blah. I know every file that's going in there, and I am okay with the changes. And I'm going to break my own rule because I know everything that's going on there. Yes, and node modules is ignored. Great. Let's double check though, because I did use that, and I don't want to add things. All the modified things are added, but it didn't add what I deleted. I do want to make sure that I add the README old bit. Okay. Git commit. We write the modified base react. Whoops. Git push. Voila. We have things on a repo now. So if you were not following along to do the setup stuff with me, you can go ahead and fork the repo that I shared earlier and whatnot. But you'll notice that I just pushed directly to main. Good habits would be that you would actually lock main and that you would push to a branch and then merge that branch, which is what we're going to do next stream. Anything after this, we will no longer be using the main branch, just to have that practice of like, okay, we have a functioning project. We confirmed the server was running, things are updated, it looks great. But the point being that we want to really make sure that we are not breaking our functioning minimum viable product, because in a hackathon, the moment you edit something and it breaks and you can't go back to it, that's your that's it. Like you can still get a demo sticker and stuff, but you're like kind of kicked out of like the judging running. Like you really want to have a good functioning thing. So we are going to do that next stream where we were working on feature branches instead. Again, putting into practice that first workshop that we had yesterday, presuming I remember to do it. But yeah. And so the plan for tomorrow is that we'll be working a little bit on the UI, potentially hooking up to MongoDB, and seeing how we're going to properly display those things. I might do some pre-work just to make sure that we have a good start and not too much debugging, but it'd be like that. And so also for those who are joining tomorrow, it is like 6 hours earlier in the day just because it is Monday and a work day. So definitely check out the recording if it is too early or you're like, I am not getting up that early for you. Fair. I don't want to be up that early for me, but it's just how my schedule works. Cool. So with that, any questions, comments, concerns, ideas for tomorrow? Let's see. Anything that I have missed? I am not. I am doing it to study hackathons. I was really excited about the idea that I could. I already get the student discount. I'm a campus expert. Like it doesn't matter. Yes, definitely. Cool. Yeah. Any questions? concerns. I feel those too. My tea is cold. How unfortunate. I know we didn't do a lot, but such is hackathon nature. You try to do a lot and then you break things and then you're like, oof. I am not really present on social media, so no, I don't have anything for you to follow, but you're welcome to just keep an eye out for when I'm doing streams and join me then. I try to do most every global hack week that I can, unless there are certain topics that I'm like, I just got nothing. I believe Eastern, my early stream tomorrow is 9 a.m. I think, I don't know what that would be in IST if you're IST. If you are IST, it'll probably be like the end of your day, but not midnight anymore. Both of the next two will be 9 a.m. Eastern. Oh, fascinating. Good to know. Well, then it will be 7 a.m. for you. Anyone else? Really, it would be late in the evening, yes, but it wouldn't be like super early in the morning. I think it would be probably early evening. 9 a.m. Eastern to IST. It would be 7:30 p.m. Depends on if you went to bed. Alrighty, I will probably close it up in 2 minutes. Make sure that if there's anyone still typing that they get a chance to. But otherwise, thanks as always for coming and hanging out. I know, again, we didn't do a ton, but we did a lot of good setup, which is critical, honestly. It'll help us in the long run, especially when I break things and I don't know how to fix them and we need to go back and revert git history. Yeah. I just expect that's going to happen. But that's what Git's for. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I feel like you do this to spite me, 404. Stop telling people to not sleep. You don't need coffee. You need sleep. All right, we got a minute left. Once again, thanks for coming. Ooh, let me see. If you haven't registered for the event link, definitely go ahead and do that. I'm gonna go pull that up again. I always forget to have it open for myself. Hey, that's awesome. I'm really glad to hear it. It's really good to learn by breaking things and then learning how to unbreak things, because then you have a better understanding of why things broke and hopefully don't do it again, or know why it broke in the first place, that you're like, oh, that's a shortcut I can use. Like moving files is a way to copy things without using copy. If you're like, there's Google that before you actually do that. But yes, that's a thing. Come on. Let me interact with this spreadsheet. Control C. And event link, if you haven't checked in, definitely do that. So that way you are eligible for challenges. I think this counts towards your one of your 5 live streams that you've checked in on. So definitely go ahead and go do that. And with that, I think we'll cap it there. Thanks again for joining. Looking forward to tomorrow. For those of you who wake up or are awake to join me, I will certainly be tired. I do not wake up that early typically, but I have the meetings tomorrow to go to, so I have to be up. But hopefully we'll do some lots of fun stuff, doing UI work, show you any cool designs I've come up with if I don't go sit on my couch and rot for the day. It do be that kind of day. The sun is now out. which I guess is nice. I liked the rain though. Bye, y'all.